An interesting scenario we have here on the gold, as we can see that despite the fact that I have been expecting a bullish momentum since the beginning of the month, what we've been seeing on this time frame is that price has been finding lower lows and lower highs since the beginning of the month of May. Now we have a scenario which looks more like price is about to do a reversal at this point in time, which we are not sure if this is going to hold for a very long time. So in this regard, the first thing I want to do on this time frame, on this pair, is to look at what is happening on probably the daily time frame. So scaling up to a much higher time frame, if you recall our activities and monitoring of this price action, we will remember that we had identified a bullish trend line right here on the daily time frame, which looks more like this. And since August last year, we've seen that price have been climbing and respecting that bullish trend line as we continue to see higher lows and higher highs until we finally saw that huge expansion that happened in the month of February. We saw price culminate at $2,070. However, since price hit 2070, that was sometime the beginning of the month of March, we began to see a lower high, lower low, and lower high, which sent price spiraling down into an area around 1790 area later on this month. However, the breakdown of that key level is something that we really need to take into consideration at this point. So, sorry, the breakdown of that bullish trend line is what we really need to take into consideration at this point. The first thing first we observe is that we have an impulse leg that ran through to $2,070 at the beginning of February. And since then, we saw that spiraling down, which looks more like a retracement of that impulse leg. However, the retracement appears to now fall within that demand zone that price began from and the month of February. So, with this information in hand, you will agree with me that we're right here sitting on a demand zone that has memory as far back as December or probably August, September, August. Okay, we have September, August, thereabout. So we have the demand zone which has a memory that has gone back as November, December last year, which we are sitting on right now. So what this simply means at this point still needs further confirmation. As if you remember, in my previous XAUUSD speculation, I have been expecting the bullish continuation for probably 2 to 3 weeks now. But unfortunately, we've been seeing a spiral to the downside since the beginning of this month. So at this point in time, is this a signal that the bulls are coming back into the game or not? So if you allow me at this point, I would like to label this zone, the demand zone, sorry, hold on a second. Demand zone. So we place this in the center. We make it green, dark green, I guess. So we have the demand zone right here, sitting between $1,750 and $1,800, which is also a strong psychological level at this point. And to give you that visual representation of what I'm talking about regarding that demand zone, we saw that as soon as price broke above $1,800, we saw that this level has been holding price action since November last year. As we saw multiple rejection of the zone as demand became very, very strong for the gold as price continued to respect that bullish trend line we identified earlier. And we saw that retracement phase coming back to do a quick rejection of that demand zone one more time during the course of last week trading session. And we are here right here at this point. So what we want to be looking forward to is, are we going to be having a rejection of that trend line, which will probably send price going crashing to the downside? or is this an opportunity that price is going to break back above that trend line, retest it to push price further up to the upside? So this is a really big question that we really need to look at going into the new week. So with no much further ado, it is very, very important that we go down to a much lower time frame to see what's actually happening, to probably dictate to us if we are going to buy or we are going to sell going into the new week. So if you allow me, I'll want to scale down to a much lower time frame, let's say the 3 hours time frame, where we can look into the present structure and see what is really happening at this point in time. So if you will allow me, I would like to delete this as we no longer need that at this point. And then we need to take into consideration this bearish move, which to me right now is an impulse leg we need to use to work with going into the new week. As we can see, price rejected $1,787 before we start seeing structures that looks more like a reversal pattern on the 3 hours, 4 hours time frame. So with this being said, it is very pertinent that we look for a key level at this point in time to guide our actions going forward. Right now, the price is sitting right on a strong demand zone that has a memory for far back as November 2021. We want to be looking for a key level right above this level to guide our actions going forward. So if I bring out my line chart at this point, and we want to look for structures that will support, that will bring upon us a key level we can work with, we can see that one we have a support level at this point, we have a resistance level at this point, we have a resistance level at this point, and during the course of last week trading session we saw a breakout of that structure, and it appears we're having something that looks more like a, a support level right around this area, which we are not sure if this is going to hold price supported going forward. So with this being said, we want to identify a key level that we want to work with around this area. So if we bring out our line and then we spool it right around this area, we should be having structures right at 1000. I think give me a moment to make this more. So we will be having a level around $1,835 as our key level going into the new week. So if you allow me to give it a gold color, which is more like my style, to identify my key level as gold. So we have a key level at $1,835 going into the new week. So let's place this right at the top. Then let's put it on the right hand side of so that we can be more clear on this. So this is what we have in at this point. And if this looks familiar to you, you will notice that after this impulse leg, we saw price reject that level. Then we went back up, then break through that level down into $1,785, after which we saw price come back up into that key level. Then we saw a lower high, sorry, a higher low, which gives us structures that looks more like a reversal pattern at this point. And then we saw a significant breakout of that key level during the course of last week trading session. And afterwards, we saw a consolidation phase around this point with a sharp rejection of that key level, which gives us the an insight into the indecision after that impulse leg that has gripped the market at this point. So with this reversal pattern identified here on the 3 hours time frame, if you allow me to draw it out, and then we have a reversal pattern like that looks more like this, then you will agree with me that the key level at 1835 will become the neckline of the reversal pattern. And with that neckline standing at 1835, we already have a signal in the form of a breakout of that reversal pattern during the course of last week trading session, and looks more like this. So following the significant breakout of that key level, we had a quick retest of that key level, and we have something that looks more like this, and we don't know if price is going to go for that hop from this point. Remember that this green line here was the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. So we want to be looking for structures if we want to be going bullish, that is respecting this reversal pattern. We want to be looking for structures where price will break above that bullish trend line. Then we probably have a retest of that bullish trend line. Probably price comes down to the key level one more time before we start seeing structures that supports a trend continuation to the upside on this one. So if you will allow me to look at what is happening since the beginning of mid-April, we can definitely identify a bearish trend line with a visual representation that connects the the series of highs, of lower highs at this point, and we will be having something that look more like this. And if we have that, hold on a second, I'll give it a red. Yes, if we have that, then we will notice that it has been a uniform downtrend as price continued to respect that trend line multiple times before we finally saw the breakout. You see, we saw the rejection of that trend line, then we saw a higher low, and then we saw that breakout of that trend line during the course of last week trading session, which gives us a second signal that probably um, the trend line is no longer holding that bearish momentum we saw that began from the mid-April mid-April. So with this information in hand, it is very, very pertinent that we go close it to see what is actually happening within this area that looks more like a consolidation phase at this point. So scaling down to the 15 minutes time frame to see what structure is playing out on in that consolidation phase area, we have something like this, which allow me to delete this. Allow me to delete this. Aha. So we have something like this on the 15 minutes time frame where I want to be looking for a bullish trend line at least evolving from that area which we want to be using to guide our actions going into the new week. So bringing out my line chart at this point, for clarity's sake, we have a bullish trend line. We can identify connecting the series of higher low at this point. We will be having something that looks more like this. So let us, is it this or this? So I think we have like three. So I want to give, so I want us to draw the three levels that we've identified here. And then if we bring back our candle chart pattern, then we can now candle chart, then we can now bring the one that identify the one that looks more significant to work with going forward. So we have like three bullish trend line here, which looks more like a ray of trend line at this point. Then we bring this out, and then I want to be looking at one of these three to be our guide going into the new week. So one thing I've noticed is here, we can see that we had a touch of this place, and then we have this lower low here. So one thing I want to be doing, I want to be using this as my guide going forward. So allow me to delete this too, and then let's see how we're going to take advantage of that bullish momentum if it finally happens. So on the 15 minutes time frame, we have seen this move. We saw this one. We saw price do a retracement into this area, which is more like our golden zone area, probably around 50% retracement of that leg. Then we saw price move further up into this area where we start seeing a consolidation phase that probably see a retracement in back into that trend line, after which we look for structures that support a trend continuation to the upside. So if you would allow me, we have two impulse leg at this point. We have one here, then we have another one here. We have another one here. So the first thing first is this. We can as well take this whole impulse leg as one. If we go to a much higher time, let's say the 1 hour time frame, we can see this as a single impulse leg. So if we take that single impulse leg, for instance, and we run our retracement tool through that impulse leg, we want to be looking at our golden zone area, which is between 50 and 78.6% of that last impulse leg to take advantage of a bullish momentum. So we want to be expecting price to probably come into this area to take advantage of that bullish momentum, or probably we use this impulse leg at this point to see how price is going to play, and then we have another buying opportunity zone right around this area. So with this being said, allow me to delete this replacement tool. Okay. So with this being said, we have, hold on, allow me to label this buying opportunity. So we have it green. Then I would like to copy this so that let's place it right in between within that. So we have the buy opportunity zone. So we have another one here, make it green, and then place it right inside the structure. So for me personally, what I want to be looking forward, if you go back to now 1 hour time frame now, since we've already found what we're looking for on the 15 minutes time frame. Okay, is it 1 hour? Okay, let's go to the 2 hours time frame, or 3 hours, I guess. So yes. So now we have two scenarios we can work with at this point. So the first scenario, which I explained earlier, is that probably price will be moving upward, as we will be looking forward to a breakout of that bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame, after which we look for retests, or probably price will break it back down to respect that bullish trend line we identified on the 15 minutes time frame, after which we look for structures that will support a bullish momentum to the upside. And the second perspective is if we probably see price break down the key level, break down the bullish trend line we identified on the 15 minutes time frame, and price move into this buy opportunity zone at around $1,820, or probably price will go further down into 1,806 or $1,805, which also shares a confluence with the retest of that bearish trend line we saw, to probably send price going to the upside. So we really need to look into this area, as this area around the 1,805 area looks more like a very sensitive area for me. As you can see, this area shares a confluence with that bearish trend line. So we saw the breakout of that trend line here during the course of last week's trading session. We saw rejection of that bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame, and we price will probably come back to retest that trend line to send a signal that we might be moving on in the form of a breakout of structure, a retest into structure, to give us a confirmation that price is going to the upside. So with this being said, where is our TP going to be at? Where is our take profit target going to be at, considering the structure we identify here? And if we look closely into what has been happening since this area, since mid-April, we can see that this is more like an impulse leg we can work with at this point. So bringing out our retracement tool, Fibonacci retracement tool, at this point and running it through that impulse leg, we'll definitely have something like this. And looking at our take profit target within the golden zone area, we will be having a structure or an area around this place, which around between $1,900 and $1,950. So we have a TP target around this area. So if you allow me delete this, then we should be having our what's it called, our buy position right above that key level, with a take profit target within this area that's around 6,000 pips. And then that's if we have price move right above that key level, then we should be having something like this with our stop loss right below that key level. However,